Hello and welcome to this edition of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. I hope you're having a fantastic morning this morning and enjoying your week this week. And I hope that you're staying warm. I'm kidding. I hope that you're staying cool here in Syracuse, New York, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. We are inside the Heritage Hill Studios, and Heritage Hill, as you know, our exclusive studio partner, has multiple locations. You will find them out in the country at Heritage Hill Brew House on 3149 Sweet Road in Pompey, New York. And the brew house this weekend is going to be featuring something really awesome. They're going to be doing hot air balloon rides this Saturday, June 22nd. So head out to Heritage Hill Brew House for some balloon rides, as well as live music, chicken barbecue, and so much more. And definitely make sure you head out to Heritage Hill North, their newest location, and that is in the city hustle and bustle. So you'll find them in the country, you'll find them in the city. They literally come to where you're at. And Heritage Hill North, so happy to have them in North Syracuse, right outside of the airport, a couple minutes from the Syracuse Hancock International Airport. You'll find Heritage Hill North, so if you got a layover, great place to go as well. 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, right there at Sweetheart Corners. We have an awesome show set up here for you today. You know that Wednesdays are Dolphin time, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern time, for our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College. But all throughout the partnership, from the beginning of the beginning, it's been about under promise, over deliver. And we have another bonus special and an exclusive for you this morning with Nick DiPillo. We did the exclusive first interview upon Nick getting the job at LeMoyne. We released the story first. We were first on the scene when it came to LeMoyne College hiring Nick DiPillo as their new women's basketball head coach. Had all of that for you. And on top of that exclusive first article to the world, we had the exclusive first interview with Nick DiPillo. And now we have Nick back on the show in the special that is going to air this morning, where Nick and I will speak on his coaching staff, the news that just broke this morning, our exclusive story that we released on Katie Kalinske staying at LeMoyne and being retained by Nick DiPillo. We'll talk about his coaching staff. We'll speak on recruiting, as well as his vision for the program, and so much more, including the culture he thinks the program has, and finding a way to bridge the gap of keeping the culture that was there before and the positives that were there, while also putting his own vision and his own stamp on the program in place and making this his own. So a lot of great stuff coming up. And of course, we're going to play Rapid Fire with Nick DiPillo. That's all coming up inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin' in hour number 1. In hour number 2, Papa Joe every Thursday joining me, and PJ and I will talk about Major League Baseball. We will remember Willie Mays, God bless him in heaven, and his loved ones here on earth and in heaven. May they all be connected through God, who Jesus destroyed our death and restored our life by rising from the dead. So in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, we pray for not only Willie Mays being safe and sound in heaven, but like I said, all of his loved ones in heaven already, that they're reunited with Willie, and that Willie's loved ones here on earth are with the rest of their loved ones, and that they're all connected together with Willie, even in death, because of the great love that God is. So we'll remember Willie Mays. We'll talk about horse racing. We'll get into the U.S. Open on the golf side of things and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So all of that coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Let's take a quick step aside for a fast break. And when we come back, Nick DiPillo in a special exclusive Dolphin Dive right after this. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are inside of the Heritage Hill studios. You know that Heritage Hill is out for you in the country on 3149 Sweet Road in Pompey, New York, in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York. And in the hustle and bustle of city life, you'll find them on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York at Heritage Hill North. I am picture-in-picture for this Dolphin Dive in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College with Nick DiPillo once again. Nick DiPillo joined me for the exclusive first interview upon the news that he got the job at LeMoyne. So we had the exclusive article out for you and that exclusive first audio and video. And now Nick is back with me to speak on LeMoyne women's basketball moving forward and the tasks at hand here for the women's basketball head coach. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Always nice to kind of take a little time out of my day to chat with you and catch up about all things Dolphin hoops.
Yeah, and I know that's something that you and I were talking about off the air, which I really wanted to get into here, is that Katie Kalinske, she spent 7 seasons under Jim Boeheim on the coaching staff, which is unheard of, and to have the opportunity to do that, and then went on to the university at Buffalo and worked with Felicia Leggett-Jack, then went over to Lafayette and came home to her home of Syracuse, New York. She went to West Genesee High School, which is not too far away from the city of Syracuse, and coming home last season under Mary Grimes. I know that being back in Syracuse is important to her. It's important to her daughter. It's important to, her future and her trajectory as a coach. And we have some news here that Katie Kalinske is going to be staying on staff, and I would love to speak with you about that.
Yeah, I knew of Katie before I even took this job. So I knew a little bit about the type of basketball mind and philosophically what I was getting. But once it kind of became official and we started to have some conversations, philosophically we aligned in a big way. She's a worker. She's invested into the kids, the student athlete experience. She's as connected as anybody I've been around, and honestly, almost any level. And a lot of people who I'm close with spoke very, very highly of her, and people who I really trust and whose opinions that matter to me spoke really, really highly of her. And it didn't take long through our conversations. Some of the things she presented me, honestly, my first couple hours officially taking the job, that I knew, she'd be a great fit. I'm fortunate to have her. I'm fortunate to keep her as part of this program. Our student athletes are very fortunate to have her still be with us. And I think she'll be an unbelievable bridge to the next, however many, recruits that we continue to bring into this program. She's going to play a huge part of it. So again, I'm so fortunate, to be able to work with her every day. I'm definitely lucky.
And, when we go from one staff to another, it's not always typical that we see somebody stay on and bridge that gap. You said philosophically you line up. What are some of those pillars that you and Katie Kalinske line up on? When you talk about philosophically being on the same page, what are some of those things that you needed to have that she provided?
Yeah, and you know what? Going back to your first point, you're right. It's not normal that it happens. I think that kind of speaks to who she is and the type of person she is. Honestly, the number one thing that was important that jumped out to her was her investment in the program and into our student athletes. I think she knows what the student athlete experience needs to look like through my eyes, and that was really evident in our first conversations. She brings an unbelievable work ethic to it. She's prepared. She's detail oriented. She's definitely not going to be outworked. And I know what I know of her, when I've gotten to know of her, her loyalty to the best interest of LeMoyne is always going to come first. She's not afraid to voice her opinion and share it. She has a lot of great ideas, which we've talked about, and I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more of those as we go. I think it's important as you put a staff together, you want to hire people who complement you, but also push you outside your comfort zone. And she's definitely going to be able to do that for me.
And like you said, I mean, that connection and that work ethic, you had known of her, like you said, before you took this job. Mm-hmm. What did you know about Katie, and what have been some of those positive things that have been said to you along the trail that you weren't going in having no knowledge of her? So what did you know?
Yeah, so number one was the pedigree. I think just you had mentioned it. The time you spent at Syracuse, by osmosis alone, you're going to learn an unbelievable amount. Working with and around that program that she was a part of, her ability to get players better into the gym, which is something that I want to be a foundational cornerstone piece of what we do, is just a player development piece. Um, Her eye for talent and the ability to see not only who they are today, but who they can become throughout their 4 years, in a particular system. And then through those initial conversations, just her ability to hear my vision of how I want to play and how I want to recruit, and then her bringing players to the table. We were out this weekend during an academic live period, and her ability to bring players to my attention that fit that, and force me and give me opportunities to think in different ways about certain players. Um, the conversations have been, very stimulating to say the least, and it's really pushed me to, kind of think and see things in a different way. And she does it in a way where she always has the best of the program, and what I'm looking for at the forefront of her mind.
And you talk about recruiting and being on that wavelength and having that connectivity between the two of you. This is technically the first move that you've made, is keeping
Mm-hmm.
Katie Kalinsky as an assistant coach. So is she right there? As we look at the sideline, is she that first seat there as we look for the rest of the seats? How do we kind of put all this together? Because you come in at a time where LeMoyne is in Division One. You come in at a time where there was the expansion of the staff and the opportunity. So there's a bunch of seats you can fill. So where do you kind of see her in this? And I mean, is there any special name to it? Is it assistant coach focusing on the this certain area, the front court, the back court? How do you kind of look at her role on your staff? And then moving forward, just what you could say about what you're looking for the rest of the staff.
Yeah, I think what I can say is it's gonna be hard for me to find someone else to bring into this program with the level of experience and pedigree that she has. Um, what that looks like, and I'm narrowing it down a little bit to the final couple positions that I need to bring in and fill. Uh, but one of the things that her and I talked about, when I told her, I invited her to stay on, was I want her to serve as a mentor for the people who do come in as well. I mean, she has a lot of unique experience, um, that I'm going to benefit from, but I know the other assistant coaches that I bring in will as well. So she's going to be a trusted ear for me. She's going to serve as a mentor for them, and I'm going to lean on her a lot. From a day-to-day standpoint, from a big picture standpoint, as to what roster building looks like in the short term and in the long term. And I think, I talked about our student athletes who will benefit from her presence every day. I think the assistants that we bring in, in the next few weeks, they'll equally benefit from her as well. And by the time they get here, we'll put in a good strong month together of really, hitting the ground running with some of the things that we're trying to do. Hopefully, filling out our roster in the next couple of weeks, and making some announcements with that, and then kind of focusing on that 25 class and what comes after. So, whether it looks like whatever it is, number one, number two, I don't know what that necessarily is per se, but she's going to be relied upon to impact the program, not only with our student athletes, but with the rest of the people who share this office space with us.
Nick DiPillo here with me in this Dolphin Dive exclusive in our multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College from inside the Heritage Hill Studios here on Wake Up Call, speaking with the LeMoyne Dolphins women's basketball head coach about Katie Kalinsky. To the rest of this staff, how many more seats are we looking to fill? And I know you said in the coming weeks. How close are we to seeing some of these new faces on campus?
Yeah, I think we're getting pretty close. I'd like to hope for early July. Prior to the craziness of AAU kicking off, to kind of have my staff set. I have an urgency to do it, but I have more of an urgency to make sure they're the right fit. They check the boxes that not only that I need for myself, but who will be uh, present for our student athletes, and not necessarily present in the physical sense, but present in all aspects of their student athlete experience. I definitely want to make sure I'm hiring a staff that uh, can really impact their lives in a lot of different ways, and give our student athletes people of different backgrounds and experience levels to kind of talk to and relate to kind of go from there. So definitely looking forward to having that those last two spots filled. Like I said, probably in the next few weeks, early July is my target date right now. Think we're getting there, but just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. For this program.
And recruiting wise, of who you had on the team when you came in, because obviously there's a transfer portal. There was weeks in between of people wondering where they're going to go and what they're going to do. Has anyone kind of gone in the portal, come out of the portal, met with you, and said, "Hey, I'm going to stay"? What can you tell us about the returning roster for this team?
Yeah, so from the time I got here, nobody knew went into the portal, which I was really thankful for and excited about. The two incoming freshmen reaffirmed their commitment, and really excited about what they can bring, to the team. We're really close, with the rules about when you can talk about things and announce things
Yeah.
are a little funky sometimes. So when you're dealing with players who are in the portal and will commit to LeMoyne, we have to wait for some checks and balances to go through before we can talk about them. But we're really excited about some additions that we'll be making to our program, um, who will, not only be talented people, talented basketball players, but they're going to be dynamic people to help lift us and contribute to what is already an established culture and a strong locker room. I was able to talk to all of our returners, uh, within a day or two of me getting a job, and a few of them were gracious enough to come to the press conference, and you know, all of them to a person without saying it, you can tell how much they appreciate the culture that was established prior to me getting here, and I feel beyond duty bound to make sure that of all the things that I do, of course, I'm going to bring in the most talented people, basketball players that I can find, but make sure I'm bringing in student athletes who contribute to that and uphold that culture as well. Um, because I understand how important that is to them. Um, it's important to me for a lot of reasons, but because it's important to them that it adds even greater weight to make sure I evaluate people the correct way.
And how do you do the dance of taking these last few years and this consistent success that we've seen with this program and going to the NCAA tournament, going to the women's NIT first year in Division One? How do you take all of those positive pieces and those moments? Because I know you and I talked about this in our exclusive a few weeks back. But now that you've met the student athletes, to do the dance of let's take what's working, let's take what's good, let's take this culture that's been built, but I am the leader of this program now, and I have to put my Nick DiPillo stamp on it. How do you do what you need to do to lead the way you want to lead, while also making sure that there's no disruption of the culture that is good, that you like, that you've seen?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And to be honest, everything is always going to start in the locker room. It's to start with our culture, it's to start with how we do things. And I think culture is that buzzword that people, throw around and use a lot. And it's really just it's an accumulation of how you do things on a day-to-day basis. It's a relationship building. It's the conversations you have with your student athletes, which have started already, from the time I officially got here. The basketball pieces, that might look a little bit differently. But it's clear that the staff and the players who are part of this program the previous few years did an unbelievable job talking about and preaching the right things and talking about how you want to do things the right way every single day. Um, that's an easy transition for me because it aligns with who I am, and what I think leads to success. The basketball piece, like I said, will probably look a little bit differently, especially as we start to bring, you know, new players into the fold. I think different ways that we can use our existing players to highlight and accentuate what they do well, and also make sure it's a mirror image of myself in a way that myself and this staff envisions us playing. So I think the parallels you'll see from a culture standpoint and the sheer joy that we play with and the way we want to do things, the product might, like I said, might look a little bit differently, but it's going to be based in, you know, us doing, playing for each other and playing hard and playing the right way.
Yeah, and looking at the roster and what you have here, right now as far as floor minutes. There's there's a few that put in some good minutes. There's obviously a sharpshooter that I'm looking at here right now. I'm treading lightly because I think obviously you can talk about who's on your roster, right? You could talk about who's returning, but recruiting wise, a little bit different. But for the Emily Florvilles, and I know Sydney Postel got out there a little bit, and Sierra Lennon obviously was a huge sharpshooter for the team. There's not a ton of numbers as far as what's there. I know you said you got a couple coming in freshman wise, you're going to the portal. What are your thoughts on some of those names that I did put out there, especially Sierra, knowing how good of a shooter she was last season?
She was, and it's interesting because I joked with everyone who I spoke to, and I said it kind of tongue in cheek, but it's the truth. Everyone who's going to be in our locker room that very first team meeting when we all get back together, they've all played the same amount of minutes for me anyway. So regardless of what they've done prior, there's something to it, and there's an experience factor that comes with it that is definitely beneficial. But none of them have experience with me, and I have no experience with them. So for some who were looking to have an expanded role, they're going to have every opportunity to do so. And from talking to a lot of the returners, I think that's really exciting for them. So definitely looking forward to getting in the gym. I wish I could fast forward a couple months. One to kind of get everything else, to get life in order and get all that stuff done, but to really just for us to get in the gym together and see what pieces fit best with who. I am very excited about a lot of the returners who are coming back. I think they're all going to add their unique skill set to the way we want to play, the way we want to do things. I'm cautiously optimistic the additions that we'll be making will complement that and hopefully add to that. I do think we are set up to have a really deep roster and some really, really competitive practices, which will allow us to, be competitive when we get out there and start playing.
I know you can't tell me names due to recruiting things like we had spoken about, but how advantageous have you been in the portal? And because of the time that you came on as the coach for LeMoyne, is this going to be a heavy portal cycle for you to bring in those pieces of what you're seeing? Are we going to see an influx of that, so to speak? And will a lot of this new look LeMoyne team come from other places in Division One or Division Two, or just kind of what you're anticipating?
Yes, I think this year has to be a little bit more portal heavy than I would like to, as a general whole, just because technically it was June 1st ish that I got the job, so it was really hard. A lot of the high school players who you'd like to target, they're committed already, right?
Yeah.
So we are going to bring in a few from the portal. We'll bring in a mixture. They'll all be players from Division One programs. As I said, I think we're narrowing it down where we're at pretty soon. We'll bring a couple fifth-year transfers in. We'll bring a couple who have multiple years of eligibility left. And it'll really allow us to focus on that from a roster standpoint, focus on that 2025 recruiting class, because I really do want the foundation of our program to be bringing in players and developing them throughout their time here at LeMoyne. I think the portal can be used to serve to plug the occasional hole here and there. I understand it's part of college athletics, and we're going to use it to our advantage when it makes sense for us. I definitely don't anticipate it after this year being a main resource for how we recruit our talent. I do think there's something to be said for identifying the right players early in high school, getting them to campus, developing them on and off the floor, and building up the foundation of our program that way. But I understand that student athletes, rightfully so, have options at the end of every year. So what that looks like, we'll see from year to year. But if we're doing things the right way, and if we're executing our plan the way I think we can, we'll be able to build our foundation through the conventional high school grassroots route.
That coming here from Nick DiPillo in this edition of the Dolphin Dive, LeMoyne Dolphins women's basketball head coach here on Wake Up Call inside the Heritage Hill Studios. Nick, before I let you go, you, like you said, June 1st, technically, you're brought on. Amidst all of this, the athletics director who's part of the process of interviewing you, Bob Beretta, he ends up deciding to go to St. Bonaventure, his alma mater. I could speak for him, I would think, in the sense of saying, I mean, and not even speaking for him, but speak on his behalf. Tremendous leader and has done so much. And I'm sure your interaction with him was all great. Now there's an interim in Mike Lindbergh, and there's a committee being put together this week to go and find the next athletics director and leader of the department. How have you kind of navigated through all of this? Because Bob was there. This was his last big move, that you were that hire. So to know that he was a part of that and a part of this mission and this vision to make sure the right person came in for women's basketball at LeMoyne, and at the same time, all of this change that you're experiencing immediately, how have you kind of navigated the waters of Bob to now an interim to knowing that down the road there will be another leader for athletics at LeMoyne?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's taken a situation that was a whirlwind coming into it in normal circumstances and throwing like another twist into it. First of all, I'm eternally grateful to Bob because I know, regardless of the decision he made with his career, that this was a huge hire for him. So for him to put his trust and faith in me that I was the right person at this time to lead our program. And believe in my vision. I'll always be eternally grateful to him for that. Unfortunately, the rest of the stuff is stuff I can't control. I haven't had an opportunity to meet Mike yet. I think I'll have an opportunity to meet him this week. I did let President Lemira know that I am here at her disposal for anything she needs through the process. If there's anything in my experience at this level to help assist LeMoyne in the process, that I'm here for her. I think the best thing I could do will always be to pour into our program with all the energy that I have and pour into our student athletes the best that I can to make sure that whoever does come in this fall, whenever LeMoyne decides to make that next decision for who will lead the program moving forward, that they're finding the women's basketball program in a stable and in a good place. I've worked with a lot of administrators over the years. And I'm excited to work with whoever does come in and help aid his or her transition, into their role and be a great working partner with them as they kind of go through it. But to say that you're right, it definitely adds a little twist and another dimension to what's already a crazy situation. So.
Yeah, I mean, you spent a few days as the women's basketball head coach here. It's only been a little bit, but you've already been recruiting, like you said, looking for your staff, looking in the portal, what you're going to do, making sure that you firm up those commitments of the freshmen that were committed, which you have. Katie Kalinsky staying on staff, seeing Bob in this transitionary period to Mike Lindbergh, and then from there. So amidst all of this, to be on the Heights, to be at LeMoyne, to physically be in Syracuse, New York, what have you taken away so far, and what has the experience been like for you just as a human being in the community?
The people around here are amazing. I've been random places, just go get something to eat. You're at the food store. Still living out of a hotel right now until we get our house next month. The amount of people who've just randomly stopped me to say hello and welcome me to the area has been insane. It's been heartfelt and genuine. And it's helped me when I'm getting on the phone with recruits, especially after this last weekend. And while there's not a ton that I can tell them about LeMoyne yet, I can speak to them about the people and the community and the environment that I'm recruiting them to. And so for me, it's been awesome. Like I said, the people are genuine, they're gracious. On campus and in the community, everyone around here has been so helpful, still trying to figure out, how to get certain things done, and people will drop. Our athletic department is amazing, and I've probably hounded our administrators way too much with a lot of small, mundane questions and details, and they'll drop whatever they're doing at a moment's notice to answer my question and make sure I have what I need in order to be successful. None of them want to say no. They want to find the best way to get to yes. And I think that's a testament to the people here and the commitment from the university, from President Lemira all the way down, to make sure that we have what we need to best serve our student athletes and create the best student athlete experience that we can. So every day that goes by and every day I come into the office and every day I go home, I'm more and more thankful that I have this opportunity, to represent this program and lead it the best way that I know how.
That coming here from Nick DiPillo, a lot of information, and very much appreciate all of that to give the inside look at LeMoyne Dolphins women's basketball moving forward. Nick, I can say that I'm very happy to have you here. I'm happy that you and I got to speak before everything, and I was sad because this was a process that went on for weeks, and when they said, hey, this is when we're going to bring them on campus, I had talked to you before that, and I was like, I'm actually with family down in Florida. Went away with my mom for a few days, so it was I was thinking about it while I was down there. I'm like, this is the time that he's going to be speaking. I wonder what he's talking about. I wonder what's going on. So I hope I was there in spirit, and obviously appreciated the time that we had beforehand, the time that we have now, and the time that we'll continue to have to build this. And that's all leading up to the fact of, now that you're in town, you're in my city, so I'm going to have to make sure we get together and get some good food, and I show you around Syracuse the right way.
I'd appreciate that, and I appreciate the attention that you bring to our program. The time that you've shown. I think our student athletes, our athletic department, in LeMoyne is appreciative. They're grateful, and they're deserving, because I think this is a great place with great people. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, but I think the more people who can hear that message, the better.
Yeah. Well, thank you for appreciating that, and thanks for coming here, because I'm very happy that you're going to be here leading this program that's meant the world to me for over a decade, and it's an honor to know that you and I have already gotten to get simpatico on a lot of things too, and I like the fact that we got a good leader here. So it's an understatement, but I'm looking forward to it, and definitely looking forward to some X and O's talk, and maybe coming out to a practice or just sitting with you looking at different things, because I love this game more than I can say, and I'm happy that I get the opportunity to speak with someone who's genuine and passionate, and I really think that LeMoyne got a good one, so I'm happy that you're here.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our
corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, much appreciation for being here with you inside of the Heritage Hill studios. Appreciate Heritage Hill, Dan Palladino, Victoria Mattarell, and the entire team out at Heritage Hill. You'll find them in Pompey on 3149 Sweet Road in Pompey, New York, out in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York. And you'll find them in that hustle and bustle of so many different pieces of our city crossing each other, when you'll find them centrally located at Sweetheart Corners at 628 South Main Street in Heritage Hill North. And Heritage Hill North, the exclusive home of our CNS North Stars broadcasts on-site, on location. And we look forward to the next one we get to bring you there at Heritage Hill North. I want to thank Nick DiPillo for being a part of the broadcast this morning and for everything that he has brought to the table already in just a few weeks of having the opportunity to get to know him. As you know, the exclusive story was released this morning about Katie Kalinske staying on staff, and I'm going to share some quotes here with you this morning as we have a little bit of time before PJ comes on. The exclusive is on wakeupcalldt.com. That's wakeupcalldt.com, and you can see this. Katie Kalinske, a native of Central New York and West Genesee High School alum, has been asked to stay on staff by Nick DiPillo, keeping the longtime basketball mind right here in Central New York. DiPillo shared the news with me directly, and you just heard it here this morning, that Kalinske will serve as an assistant coach on the LeMoyne Dolphins women's basketball staff under his leadership. Katie said this to me, quote, "Being at LeMoyne is everything to me and my family. I love everything about the school, the community, and the Jesuit values. I believe LeMoyne is truly a special place, and I could not be happier to be able to keep working for such a special place with special people. I love everything about Coach Nick. He has such a unique background in coaching and has coached at the highest programs. I will learn so much from him, and that is exciting for me. He is one of the best people I have ever been around, and I am so excited to be on his staff and be able to stay home. Family is important to me, and he is the definition of a family person. Our values align in many ways," end quote, which you heard Nick say this morning. Kalinske spent 7 seasons under Jim Boeheim as a member of the Syracuse Orange men's basketball staff, followed by her time as an assistant with the University at Buffalo for the Bulls and Lafayette Leopards women's basketball programs, both Division I. She returned to Syracuse, New York last season when former LeMoyne women's basketball head coach Mary Grimes hired Kalinske during her final season at the helm of the program, and that was the first year in Division I for LeMoyne women's basketball, and Katie Kalinske, as a member of the staff, helped to guide this team into being the second best team in the Northeast Conference in their first season in the Northeast Conference, a 14-2 record in the conference, handing the only loss to the number 1 team in the conference, Sacred Heart, and playing in the championship game for the NEC and advancing to the WNIT for the national postseason in a season where they could not go to the NCAA tournament due to the 4-year hiatus period where when you're reclassifying, you can't go to NCAA postseason unless the NCAA changes that, which hopefully they will soon. Katie went on to say, quote, "I can't wait to continue on staff here. We have such a great group of young women on our team, and being able to stay on staff and coach them is a dream come true for me. I can't wait to see who else joins us on staff here, and I think it's going to be another special season for us. End quote. DiPillo, with Kalinsky on staff, will help lead the Dolphins into year 2 of their transition to NCAA Division I. Awesome, awesome news. So excited about what's going on here in Central and Upstate New York with this LeMoyne Dolphins women's basketball team, with Nick DiPillo, with Katie Kalinsky. They're already out recruiting in the periods where they're allowed to, so they've been running after it, and I expect no less, and I'm very excited about what's to come here as we step forward. So a lot of great news coming from Nick this morning, a lot of great news coming up from Papa Joe in just a few minutes here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So as we have a minute or two here, there is a fruit fly in my studio, and I said this before, this might be the annoying moment of the week. During my show, he flies at my face, and then he leaves me alone, and then he flies at my face the next morning. And he's been here for years. I feel like I should give him a name. I feel like at this point he has residency, and I think he should pay for studio time. We should be friends, but he flies at my eye, and that's just not kind to do. I do want to make a note here and on what's going on in the world of the College World Series. So I do want to get into the College Baseball World Series here and give you all an update, because I talked about it with Brendan Murphy, obviously, when we were having our conversation earlier on here this week. And so I want to give a shout out here to how everything's gone down. The finals, Texas A&M versus Tennessee. When we look at the different pods here, I just want to go back here. Tennessee came out of the Knoxville pod. Out of the Greenville pod, we had East Carolina. I want to shout them out because I made mention before. East Carolina, good baseball team. They owned that pod. They were the number 1 seed, but Evansville came out of that pod. And UConn came out of the Norman pod. Out of the Tallahassee one, Florida State also advanced in their pod. And then we had Kansas State come out of the Fayetteville pod. Charlottesville, Virginia advanced out of their own. And Tucson, West Virginia, in the Chapel Hill one, UNC advanced. In the Bryan College Station, Texas A&M advanced out of where they were the number 1 seed. Out of Santa Barbara, it was Oregon. Out of Stillwater, it was Florida. Out of Clemson, it was Clemson. Out of Athens, it was Georgia. Out of Raleigh, it was NC State, which is their pod. Out of Corvallis, it was Oregon State, which was their pod. And out of Lexington, Kentucky, was Kentucky. Then we saw Tennessee over Evansville, Kentucky over Oregon State, Florida State over UConn, NC State over Georgia, Virginia over Kansas State, and Florida over Clemson, which led us into the worlds of seeing Virginia, North Carolina, Florida State, Tennessee in one bracket. That was bracket 1. Tennessee advanced out of that bracket. And in bracket 2, we had NC State, Kentucky, Florida, and Texas A&M. You had 3 SEC, 1 ACC, and Texas A&M advanced out of that, which brings us into Tennessee and Texas A&M, who will play for the finals in this Division I baseball collegiate World Series. Game 1 is going to happen this Saturday at June 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Game 2 will be on June 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. And then Game 3, if necessary, will be on June 24th, which is my G-Mama's Remembrance Day of the day that she went back to heaven. That is this Monday, June 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN, if needed. So it all comes down to Tennessee, who has been regarded as the best team in the nation, going up against Texas A&M. So Texas A&M, as good as they have come through this thing, regarded as the underdog, I would say, going into this against Tennessee. So we shall see. We shall see what shakes out of this. We know that softball already finished up their side of things, and we had spoken about softball's World Series already here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, knowing that their champion is something that has been a consistent thing here, with Oklahoma winning, I believe, their 4th straight championship, and they won over Texas. And when we look back into softball, we had Texas advance out of their pod, Texas A&M advance out of theirs, LSU advance out of theirs, Stanford advance out of theirs, Oklahoma State advance out of theirs, Arizona out of the Fayetteville one, Baylor out of the Lafayette one, Florida out of the Gainesville, their pod, Oklahoma out of their own pod, Florida State out of Tallahassee, their pod, Duke out of their pod, Missouri out of their pod, UCLA out of their pod, Georgia out of their pod, Alabama out of their pod, and Tennessee out of their pod. So of the pods that we had here, the host team advanced out of every single one of them except for 2, when Arkansas did not advance out of theirs in Fayetteville, and the Ragin' Cajuns didn't advance out of theirs out of Lafayette for Louisiana. So Baylor and Arizona, the only ones that were not the team hosting that advanced out of it. Then we saw Texas over Texas A&M, Alabama over Tennessee, Stanford over LSU, UCLA over Georgia, Oklahoma State over Arizona, and Duke over Missouri. And then we saw the Gators over Baylor and Oklahoma Sooners over the Florida State Seminoles, which led us to our bracket 1, which advanced Texas out of it, and bracket 2, which advanced Oklahoma. And then Oklahoma won again. And Oklahoma, their softball streak of championships, absolutely incredible and record-setting. So big-time congratulations to them as after they have this just absolutely amazing season on top of many amazing seasons that they have had here in recent history. So their championships now continue for the Oklahoma Sooners, and just absolutely amazing to see what they've done here. And yeah, it is the 4-peat. So I said they had won 4 in a row, and they have won 4 in a row with the 2024 Women's College World Series. So big-time congratulations to the Oklahoma Sooners. And on the baseball side of things, we'll see. Is it going to be Tennessee, or is it going to be the Texas A&M squad that does it this time around? Jerry, you're laughing about something. What are you laughing about? It sounds like, what did I say? But a lot of great stuff here, and very excited about what's going on as baseball continues, believe it or not. College baseball is not done, and softball finished up here recently. So congrats to everybody involved in that world, and we shall see as we step forward here. Garrett Cole, by the way, we're going to be talking with Papa Joe, I'm sure, about this, but Garrett Cole is back, and the Yanks fell to the Baltimore Orioles in the game, but good to see him. So New York Yankees, Garrett Cole assignment for his season debut Wednesday did not go as planned. However, it's good to have him back on the mound. So we'll see what the Yankees do with Garrett Cole back here, as the team that has held the best record in baseball now has their ace in that wonderful, wonderful place, which is back on the field. So the Yankees currently 51-25, and the Philadelphia Phillies 49-25. There's some other teams trying to catch up here, though. The Dodgers are 46-30. The Brewers are 44-30. The Mariners are 44-32. And then we look at the Cleveland Guardians are 45-26. By the way, the Baltimore Orioles, this back and forth with the Yankees, very important, as the Yankees are 51-25 and the Orioles are 48-25. So this matchup between the Yankees and the Orioles, ever important in their standings, as the Orioles lost the first one to the Yankees 4-2. And then the Orioles won Garrett Cole's return to the mound this season for the first time after being out with injury. And God bless, he'll be okay, and the whole team will be okay moving forward from here, as Rizzo came up on, as he what's going to happen with his injury. And then we saw the things with Aaron Judge. So God bless, and hopefully everything will be okay and everybody stays healthy as we step forward. Yankees got the first one in the Orioles series. Orioles got the second one in Garrett Cole's first game of the season, and that was 7-6 in a very close matchup. They'll face off again tonight in their series, and that will be here on June 20th at 4:05 p.m. Eastern time for the Yankees, which is going to lead us. Oh, the fly. Yeah, Jerry, these flies are ridiculous. One fly. Thank goodness it's not more than one. But yeah, one fly that just really likes to buzz. And yeah, he does. It's like every year when it starts to get a little bit warmer, I just look in the studio. I'm like, there he is. There's Fred. Fred the fly. I'm going to call him Fred. I've decided. And so, but, you know, Fred just shows up and he's like buzzing around my face. And he flies right directly at my nose during the show. So you've seen in the last 2 weeks, I'll go like this while I'm talking. That's Fred. So shout out to Fred, who's made a cameo on Wake Up Call. And since he's been on multiple episodes, I think at this point he owes me some type of money for being a repeat guest here that was not offered to be on the show. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Fred and I will be back after this with Papa Joe here inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Stay with us. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the tastes of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us on a wonderful, beautiful, very, very hot day in Syracuse. And so we are, of course, happy to be here with you around the world inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. You are with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora worldwide, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and of course on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. I am happy to be here with you, hanging out inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, and like I said, it is hot. We are experiencing a heat wave, and I will say this, and I mean this when I say this, and I've experienced it so recently. 98 degrees in Orlando, 87 degrees in Syracuse. Syracuse more suffocating than 98 degrees in Orlando, because our humidity, that the air, the way that the air feels thick, or it feels like you can't like breathe it, like you're trying to sip a milkshake through a straw. That's what it feels like. So the heat wave up here, where we're hitting that heat index of 100 degrees and all that good stuff, I tell people this all the time. I can live between 75 and 80. I can live maybe between 75 and 84. But once it starts creeping into the 90s up at Syracuse, I'm always like, we can do a couple days of this, because we usually have a few days of it each year. And last year we had some hot days. But I am more than happy to get back to the 80s, keep the sun out, keep it shining, get some rain when we need it, no flooding. But Papa Joe, it is so... I'm putting my face on the sun up here. So I don't know what it's like down in Florida right now, but it is a hot one, like 7 inches from the midday sun. And that is a line from a song I heard growing up as a kid. I will not take credit for it. But it is definitely a hot one up here. We're having a string of hot days. I want to just check here really quick and let everybody know where we're at. So today is supposed to be 91, and then we go back to the 80s, and then we're in the 70s and the 80s. And we're supposed to get rain all weekend, which I hope it holds off on Saturday, because we got hot air balloon rides out on Saturday, June 22nd at the Heritage Hill Brew House out in Pompey. So, PJ, it's hot up here. I think you and MT would feel more gross up here when it gets hot and muggy than you would down there right now. How are you?
Good. The only problem with that, Daniel, is that we have a coastal breeze every day. You guys don't. You're landlocked up there.
Yeah.
Your nails.
Yeah.
Can't get anything in there.
No, I have to go to Onondaga Lake. You what?
95 down here is not bad, because you just walk outside and get a breeze, but it's still hot.
Oh yeah, it is definitely very hot outside right now, and I will say that when you want a breeze, you got to go over to Onondaga Lake Parkway, put your face by the water for a few minutes. Lily and I did that last week, but it's definitely hot outside, and I hope that I think tomorrow we should get back to a little bit more normal of weather. We are here with Papa Joe, and I know that some of you look forward to this segment every single week, and it means the world to me. It means the world to PJ as well. So, Papa Joe, I'm going to unleash you and get right to it here. We got baseball, and we're going to talk about a lot of things today with Papa Joe. We'll be speaking on Major League Baseball. Then we're going to reflect on Willie Mays after we talk about the current baseball happenings. We'll get into horse racing, the U.S. Open, which we talked about on Monday with Brendan. We'll get Papa Joe's thoughts here on DeChambeau, Rory, and more. And then we'll get into the Jaguars. So, PJ, I now officially let you loose here. And just like a horse race, I'm opening the gate, and Papa Joe is off to the rails here with the opportunity to talk about Major League Baseball.
I like that. That's good, Daniel.
Thank you.
Out of the gate. All right, well, as you know, I usually start out with the American League, so let's do that. And I have a lot of comments about the American League, so I'll do that as I go along. The American League East, the Yankees have got a 51-25 record. Baltimore is second, 48-25, 1.5 behind. The Red Sox are 40-35 with 10.5 behind. Now the Red Sox are 8-2 last 10 games. Baltimore 7-3, Yankees only 6-4. This division is going to be extremely tight. Why? Because Baltimore has a group of young kids that really killed it last year at the end of the year and made playoffs. And they're led by Adley Rutschman,
Yeah.
has 14 homers and 53 RBIs. Gunnar Henderson has 22 homers and 49 RBIs. Ryan Mountcastle, 11 homers, 33 RBIs. Anthony Santander, 10 homers, 45 RBIs. Jordan Westberg, 11 homers, 42 RBIs. Now, I'm going to say this. I firmly believe now, the way Baltimore is playing, that they're going to overtake the Yankees. I don't know when, and it all depends on Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole pitched 4 innings against Baltimore last night. Didn't fare too well, but didn't fare too bad either. So there's a lot of hope for the Yankees, but I really believe that Baltimore is the better team in this division. All right, in the Central Division, we have Cleveland at 45-26. Minnesota's 41-33. Kansas City fell back a little bit, 41-34. Minnesota's 5.5 back. KC is 6.5 back. KC has been right with Cleveland most of it. But Minnesota was 8-2 in their last 10 games and really crept ahead of KC, even though KC's probably got the best player in the American League like now, Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt is hitting .323 with 11 homers and 52 RBIs. A sensational player. Sensational young player. He's just a 24-year-old kid who can flat get it. We got the West with Seattle at 44-32. Houston and Texas are tied 34-40, 9 games back, but Houston is clawing back. Seattle forged ahead a little bit. The last 10 games, they were 8-2. They're still going to hang in there, but Houston probably will overtake them because they have the better team and better pitching. That remains to be seen. Average-wise, Bobby Witt, as I've heard you say before, from Kansas City, is hitting .323, leading the league. The home runs, Judge has 26. RBIs, Aaron Judge has 64, along with Jose Ramirez from Cleveland. Wins, Seth Lugo from Kansas City still leading with 10. The ERA, Louis Gill from the Yankees. Second week in a row, he's leading an ERA at 2.03. Saves. Emmanuel Place of Cleveland has 21 saves. I'll get right to the National League. Phillies leading everything, 49-25. Atlanta's 41-31. They're 7 games back. The woeful New York Mets are 35-38. However, not that woeful. They're 13.5 back. They were 8-2 in their last 10 games, starting to make some noise. If they get some good pitching, they certainly got the hitching. Okay, we got to go to the Central Division. My Brewers are 44-30. St. Louis, 36-37, 7.5 back. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Chicago are all 8.5 back. Very competitive division here. And Milwaukee is doing it without their previous manager, because he's in Chicago. Milwaukee's doing a hell of a job with a different roster and a new coach. In the West, we got LA at 46-30. Arizona is there with San Francisco and San Diego. They're all 9 back. That's a good sign for Arizona, because if they can start hitting a little bit better and pitching a little bit better, they'll make it okay. But LA is going to be tough to overcome. On top of that, Clayton Kershaw went 3 innings in the minor leagues and looked like he pitched all right. So I expect him to be back in the next 10 days.
Yeah.
However, with LA, there's always something going on. And Mookie Betts had his hand broken by a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. And he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. That seriously hurts. Unbelievable how that's going to hurt. Okay, for the average wide, Jurickson Profile from San Diego surged ahead with a .323 average. Ohtani is hitting .317. Marcell Ozuna from Atlanta's hitting home runs at 20. Ohtani's got 20.
Yeah.
Ozuna's got 63 RBIs leading there. Ranger Suarez from the Phillies is still leading the league with 10 wins. Ronaldo Lopez from Atlanta has surged ahead with a 1.57 ERA. Saves. Ryan Helsley from St. Louis is still leading with 24. So, Anthony Rizzo breaking his hand or his arm. Garrett Cole coming back to pitch a little bit. The Orioles team I named. Mookie Betts. Kershaw 3 innings. That's all the news right there, Daniel. So if you've got questions, roll on.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, you mentioned Garrett Cole, and, when we look at Garrett Cole, his debut, great to see him back. The Yankees have played so many games without him, and, I mean, you're looking at the fact that the Yankees have played, 75 games without him, and in the 76th game, they ironically lose 7-6, and against a team that is chomping at their heels. Garrett Cole, the right-hander, was charged with 2 runs on 3 hits. He had 5 strikeouts to 1 walk. He threw 62 pitches, and his average fastball velocity was down 1.6 miles per hour from last season, but he still touched 97 miles an hour. He said, quote, "I felt pretty good. Good command for the most part, and made some good pitches when we needed to make some good pitches," end quote. He took the mound at 7:07 p.m., and there was a video montage that played to highlight his debut. Now, when we look at this situation for the Yankees and where he's at, you obviously want to bring him back and get him comfortable over a period of time. You don't want to push him too hard. You don't want to push him too much. But you and I have talked about this team, and Brennan and I talked about it on Monday. The Yankees are the number 1 team in baseball, but then it comes down to that concern of, you got to stay healthy. And Anthony Rizzo goes out. He's not going to need surgery, so that's good news. But Rizzo's out. Aaron Judge, he gets put on the injury report. And Garrett Cole is coming back. So, as I've said before, Garrett Cole is your ace. So it's great to have him back. At the same time, you're the number 1 team in baseball. And in some situations, even when a superstar comes back, it messes with the makeup of the team. And so sometimes a team does really well with their best player or one of their best players out. And then when that player comes back, they're not as good. For whatever reason, it's just kind of the ebb and flow of what's going on with the team. Sometimes you catch a groove and you just ride that wave. So the thing is, can Garrett Cole come in and jump on a surfboard and ride the wave with the rest of the Yankees? Or will this have that thing where it kind of takes a moment to get reacclimated? Because remember, the pitching staff have done well enough. Obviously the team's been hitting the ball, but it's about staying healthy and bringing back in your ace to something that's already working. You found out how to win without him. Now you got to win with him again. PJ, how do you feel about the Yankees with Rizzo being out, with Aaron Judge and making sure he's okay, with Garrett Cole coming back yesterday and them losing the game 7-6? How do you feel about all of this? Because obviously the team has to stay healthy and Garrett Cole's got to get reacclimated, but we've seen before that a team plays so well without the person they're supposed to play so well with. And when they play well without him, when that player comes back in or players come back in, it takes some time. How do you feel about the Yankees right now?
I think he's got a tough road ahead of him. I think that they're not going to rush him, but it's going to be critical here, Daniel, because Baltimore is a better team right now. And I look at their pitching staff, and Nasty Nestor Cortez is the only one that's pitching really good. He's 7-4. So Rodon is 9-3, doing pretty good. Stroman is 6-3. I thought he would do better this year. And Gill is, what mentioned, 9-1. Has got an ERA, leading ERA. So these guys, along with Cole, should be able to do it because typically ball clubs like to use a 5-man rotation, not a 4-man rotation. Because if you use a 4-man rotation, you got to bring your pitchers back with less time. So in a 5-man rotation, you can do it with Cortez, Rodon, Stroman, Gill, and Cole. I like that, but I'm still going to stick with Baltimore. They're just a younger, tougher team, and I don't. I'm a big Yankee fan forever, but I can see the writing on the wall here. They're playing better ball now. Of course, losing Rizzo is a big off. Judge being hit in the hand. He'll probably come back in 4 or 5 days. Not swollen.
Yeah.
But you got a little Anthony Volpe leads the league, leads the team. He leads off, and he's done everything a 22-year-old could do. I think he's sensational. Soto is doing fine. Judge, of course, is leading the league in home runs and RBIs. The guy who's got to pick it up a little bit, really a lot, is Giancarlo Stanton. I call him Mike Stanton, because that's what he was for 50 years. Mike Stanton. You got to pick it up a little bit. If he can hit better, he doesn't play the field at all very well. He's lost in the field. But he really can't put him out there anyway. Can't put him at first base. Maybe stick him in the right field and hope he gets lost out there. But Stanton, if he can hold up so Judge can get back swinging again in 3 or 4 days, that'll be fine. Stanton did well last night. Went yard, drove in 4 runs. So, he's just to me, he's a liability. I say that cautiously because he's a slugger and he's a big guy.
Yeah.
And he can turn the game around on any at bat. And then you got DJ LeMahieu, who was my favorite player for the Yankees. He's coming back off an injury again, and he needs to really step it up too. But I don't know if he's going to get any playing time. He should, but I think Liberatores is still playing third base. I think for him, second base. Verdugo came from Boston. He's playing left fields, doing well, hitting 272. So, in a nutshell, I like what the Yankees are doing. I think they have a strong 4, maybe 5-man rotation. And if they need to keep up with Baltimore, will put the pressure on.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you, PJ. Like, I know you just mentioned some things here, but for the long haul, why do you believe, as we get closer and closer to the All-Star break, why do you believe that the Orioles ultimately are going to take this? What makes you believe that the Orioles are going to eventually oust the Yankees in the American League East?
Okay, that's a good question. I'll go to my notes, which I scribble all the time. I have 3 notebooks of notes, Daniel. You're going to see them when you get down again.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just mentioned the 5 guys that are carrying with a bat. Rauschman, Henderson, Mountcastle, Santander, Westberg. Those guys are young. They're 24, 25 years old, 23 years old. They're young. Now, from the pitching standpoint, is really going to tell a tale. Corbin Burns, who came from Milwaukee, he signed as a free agent. Milwaukee can't let guys like that go. And so what does he do? He goes across the pond, sort of like, and he signs with Baltimore, and he's leading their team. He's 8-2. Grayson Rodriguez is 8-2. Cole Irvin is 6-3. Those guys are going to handle it. I think that they're better equipped in the long run than the Yankees. I tread that very lightly. I mean, I'm still concerned that the Yankees don't have enough. But the guys I just said and the pitching I just said, and they're young, in their youth, they have a good manager. I like them in the overall long run.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. I mean, the Yankees obviously are the best record in baseball right now, but at the same time, there's other teams chomping at their heels. And you went through the standings and you talked about, some pieces here. We know that the Orioles are close to the Yankees. They have another game against each other tonight. If the Orioles were to win that game, they can shrink that deficit between them and the Yankees to, it's already a game and a half. It'll be less than that after tonight if they are to win. If not, then the Yankees create a little bit of separation here. But here's a question, PJ, that I have for you. The Orioles years ago would start off the season really well, and they'd end up being like the worst team in baseball. we know that they don't spend a ton of money, and yet they found ways to win. And last season they found a way to win. They were the number one team in the American League, but they didn't go anywhere in the postseason. What is it about Baltimore, in your opinion, when you look at them and you look at the fact that this is one of the franchises that doesn't spend a ton of money? They're one of the franchises that is, building up through their prospects and building up. You talked about young talent. They found ways to win, but they found a way to not be that team that they were years ago, where they would start off really hot in like the first 15 games or 10 games and whatever, but then at the end of the season they would be at the bottom. They could start out hot and fizzle. Then they started winning over the last few years, and winning enough to get into the postseason, and last season winning enough to be the number one team in the American League. Here's my question, though. What is standing between Baltimore and their ability to win in the postseason? If they can go from the team that starts off hot to a team that can stay hot, to a team that can make the postseason, to a team that can be the number one seed in the American League, what's standing between them and their ability to win once we hit the playoffs?
The Major League season is a grind. It's 162 games, not counting the 35 games in the preseason. You're talking 200 games. You got to get to know your players. You got to get to know your pitching staff, your catchers. The reason Baltimore faded last year simply was because of youth. They were young. They couldn't. They just buckled into the pressure. And I say that with all terms of respect, because they are a sensational team. If they get a little bit more, just another maybe quality pitcher coming through, they'll be fine. Their farm system is excellent. Go back anywhere, the 3A, 2A, 1A in the rookie league, you'll find a plethora of Baltimore Orioles that are coming through the system. So it's last year they balked. If you want to use the term choke, I don't like that. Rory McIlroy choked, but Baltimore didn't choke last year. They just didn't play very well when the dice was on the table. Not so this year. They have experience now. They're still young, but they have experience. And if they can play with the Yankees, they'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll have to see where they go from here and if they can create some consistency when it comes to the postseason itself, because underwhelming last year in the postseason, but had themselves a good season outside of that. PJ, we've made mention of this, and I put up a poll last week, and I feel like that poll should be probably ending soon here, maybe this morning, because I think I put it up for 7 days. But it was, who do you think is going to win the American League West? The Seattle Mariners, the Houston Astros, or the Texas Rangers? The majority of the people voting initially picked Seattle, who is currently in the lead by 9 games over both the Astros and the Rangers, 44-32. The Astros and the Rangers are both 34-40. You said you think it's going to be Houston or Texas. What makes you believe, now that Houston has technically jumped into the second spot, they're a team that's had a losing record. They didn't start off hot this season, and now they're still with a losing record. However, they are in second place in the AL West. What makes you believe that the Houston Astros or the Texas Rangers will eventually oust Seattle, and do you still think it's going to be Houston?
I do. I've liked Houston ever since they started turning it around about a month ago. They need quality pitching, of course, but they're led by the guys that have been carrying him for 5 to 6 years. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, and Jordan Alvarez. Kyle Tucker, he got hurt, but now hope he come back soon. He's one of the best players in the league. Probably going to be trade bait if they can't make it up. Those guys can carry a team with their hitting. Pitch wise, they were led by Verlander. Now he's hurt again. That really pisses me off. These guys, Kershaw is one, Verlander's another one, Max Scherzer's another one. These guys are older, and they're not taking care of themselves in the wintertime. For some reason, I don't know, Verlander should know better. Now he's back on the injured reserve list again. Something with his neck. Doesn't make sense. And they need these guys, believe me. They need these guys. Hunter Brown has a 7-4 record. I don't know who Hunter Brown is. Ronel Blanco, 8-7. I don't know who he is either. 7-2. I beg your pardon. Now Framber Valdez, I do know. He's only 5-5. His ERA is a skying 3.9 line one. Verlander is 3-2. ERA is 3.95. You're not getting anywhere with that. You're not getting anywhere with that. They've got to be better. They'll hit the ball. They'll win 10-9 games, 7-6 games, but they're going to lose a lot of more two-run games, 2-0, 3-1, than they should win. They got to do better pitching-wise.
That comment here from Papa Joe this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. And I just put the poll up here, and early voting is siding with Papa Joe. I said, who do you believe will end up winning the American League East? The New York Yankees or the Baltimore Orioles? Early voting has 100% Baltimore. So the belief is that Baltimore will overtake the New York Yankees. They're in agreement with Papa Joe here this morning on the broadcast. PJ, I want to shift gears to the National League. The Phillies have been the keepers of the best record in the National League for a while now. And they're 48-25, or 49-25, pardon me, of us talking. They're very close to the Yankees, 2 wins away from having the same record. So as we look at that, we also look at the fact that the Dodgers are 46-30, so they're chomping at the bit here to be the best record in the National League, and the Milwaukee Brewers are 44-30. My question to you is, when we look at the Phillies and we look at their division, they are a few wins ahead of the Dodgers overall in the National League. But in their division, they have a lot of separation. There's 7 games between them and the Braves. There's 12.5 between them and the Nationals. There's 13.5 between them and the Mets. And there's 24 between them and the Marlins. So in the National League East, what can you say about what the Phillies are doing? Because there's the expectation of the Braves to be better and to be closer to the Phillies than they are. And the Mets have fought their way all the way back to being almost 500 at 35-38 at the time of our conversation. But none of that is good enough. As much as these teams are improving, as much as Washington is barely below 500 and the Mets are barely below 500 and the Braves are 41-31, those records might be good enough in other divisions, but the Phillies are keeping all of these teams at bay. So I would love to get your thoughts on the National League East, because teams like the Mets are improving, like the Nationals are improving, but it's being overshadowed by the fact that the Phillies are games ahead of every single one of these teams.
Well, they're that good, period. They did lose JT Realmuto because he banged up his knee, and he's going to be out probably for the rest of the year. Maybe, I don't know, he might be able to get back for the playoffs. But Philadelphia is led by Alex Bowen, Kyle Schwarber, and Bryce Harper. These guys slug the hell out of it. Schwarber's is unbelievable. He's leading off. Got 17 home runs, 48 RBIs. He's only hitting 254, but Schwarber was always a good candidate for the Mendoza line because he would hit a lot of homers, hit some RBIs, but he wouldn't do anything else. It'd be maybe 215, 220 was batting average, but he's still leading off, and he's hitting 254 now, which is good for him, and he's hitting a lot of home runs. Bryce Parker will be Bryce Harper. I mean, he will carry them. Now, when you get to the pitching side, you've heard me mention the 3 pitchers that are dominant right now. You got Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez, and Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
Right now, they're killing it. Nola is 8-3. Suarez leading the league at 10-1. Wheeler is 8-4. These guys are killing it. And why? Because their EIR is low. Nola has an ERA of 3.54. So-so. He got hit last night for 8 runs 2 nights ago. Ranger Suarez has a 1.75, and Zach Wheeler is 2.84. If you can pitch like that, you're going to win a lot of games. There's no reason to talk about the rest of the league because if Philly keeps playing the way they're doing, hitting the way they're doing it, and pitching with these 3 guys, they're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, because, again, the Mets are playing better, but it's being overshadowed by the fact that the Phillies have created such a separation that even with the Nationals and the Mets being right by that 500 mark, that equator mark, they're still each at least 12.5 games back. The Mets being 13.5, Washington being 12.5, and the Braves 7 games back from the Phillies right now. So another note on baseball before we get into remembering Willie Mays. Is there a team right now in any division that you feel like has really started to catch fire? As we focus on the Phillies and we focus on the Yankees and we talked about the Mets getting better, is there another team, and we also spoke about the Astros, so I'd like to stay away from those franchises and have another conversation here. Is there a team besides them, those that we've already talked about, that you feel like has started to catch fire? And we've also spoken about the Orioles too. So someone besides them that you think has really kind of maybe stuck out to you that is putting things together right now as we get closer to the All-Star break.
That's easy for me to say because it's Kansas City.
Okay.
I've loved Kansas City from the start. Cleveland is playing great ball. They're playing out of their heads. They're not that good of a team. So if they start slipping a little bit, KC's going to be right there. KC's led by Bobby Witt. I mean, his father played ball for 19 years. He's a junior, Bobby Witt Jr. He's almost got a triple crown race going here for him. As I said, he's hitting 330, 323, got 11 homers, 52 RBIs. Salvatore Perez, the catcher, is a killer. Got 11 home runs, 345, hitting 295. Their pitching is solid. I like Kansas City because they're still relatively young. Salvatore Perez is a really calming influence on that team. He's been in the league for years. He's in his 30s. He's a first-class catcher. He keeps the team level. Just young kids, he helps a lot. The old guys, he helps get along with. Now, you've heard me talk about Seth Lugo, the pitcher.
Yeah.
He's leading the league. Got 10 wins, 2 losses, ERA of 2.40. That's good. Brady Singer, go Gators, is 4-4, only 3.39. I had to say that because he'll really have a bunch of pitchers that I talk about a lot. So there's guys like Michael Walker's been around for a long time. Used to pitch for St. Louis. He needs to step it up a little bit too. Alec Marsh has been around for a while. KC's ERA as a team should be better, and it will be better. As long as it's Bobby Witt and his buddies over there on the hitting side keep winning games 10-8 and 9-7 and 6-5, they're going to be okay. I like Kansas City in this division.
Yeah, Kansas City, a team that's worked to find their come up, right? And to, there are those teams that do that. When everybody's talking about everything else, they find their way to rise a little bit here. They're 41-34 right now. They're 6 games behind the Guardians, but they have a winning record. And the Minnesota Twins, 41-33, barely above them by a half a game. And then the Guardians are 45-26. So a lot of good stuff here in the baseball world. And obviously with this week, we recognize the fact that Willie Mays has returned to the pearly gates of heaven, safe and sound up there in heaven. And Willie Mays brought so much to baseball, so much to the history of what we know of baseball. And the name is synonymous with baseball. If you don't know much about it, you know about Willie Mays. It's one of those names that you hear and you say, yeah, that's recognizable. And he worked his tail off to have that recognizable name in the game. We're going to miss him. It's a sad thing to have to sit here and think about today. But in life, as we know, there comes a time where all of us are called home. And in the case of Willie Mays, that time was this week. PJ, I would love to get your thoughts on Willie Mays and what he has done for the sport of baseball and how his legacy will live forever.
He's an incredible player. I mean, I grew up watching him, of course. Of course, I grew up watching Mickey Mantle, too. But, those two guys sort of carried the industry years ago. Just a little note here. There's one Hall of Famer who's still alive. It's Luis Aparicio from the White Sox. He's 90 years old, so he's still alive. He's the only one left from that era that's still alive. So kudos to him. Willie Mays came up when he was 20 years old. Leo DeRocha says, he looked at this kid and he says, "You're playing for me." So we brought him up. Not even one day, threw him right in his first game, couple of games. He got up to something like 1 in 25 start, 1 hit in 25 at bat, something like that. Then he caught fire and started doing Willie Mays things. Willie May his nickname was the Say Hey Kid. Say Hey Willie, you could do anything. His favorite, his best deal was his basket catch. He wouldn't put the glove up to his eyes and hold it up, catch the ball live. He'd drop it down, his both hands would drop down to his waist. He would catch fly balls that way. Of course, he had to run for some, then he'd stick his glove out and win them. Most of the time, you'll see Willie Mays catching in a basket catch. Unreal. How the coordination he does that is it's amazing. He was, Mantle at his best was Mays' equal, probably better because he was a switch hitter. But Mantle had too many physical injuries and couldn't. Plus, he drank a lot and a real mess too. But Willie Mays talked about a 5-tool player, 6-tool player, 7-tool player. I don't care what it was. He ran, stole bases, hit for average, hit for home runs, throws on a dime, catches everything. He didn't have a weakness. He was just stick him in the lineup. He'd hit 40 homers every year. He'd hit 300. He wound up, I think, with over 600 home runs in the Hall of Fame. He was a player that really transcended baseball back then, especially being a black player. He was Willie Mays. There's nothing you could say about it. I remember years ago when my dad finally got us a black and white TV, and I would try to catch Willie Mays on TV, but he was in San Francisco at the time, and there wasn't that many games that were telecast. And when I did, I used to sit sit in front of a little small TV with my legs crossed in front of it, watching Willie Mays play.
Yeah.
Now I used to catch Willie Mays or catch Mickey Mantle on TV because he was in New York, and they would play a lot more of his games. But talking about Willie Mays it was class too. Willie Mays gave excitement to the team, to the game, to the day that baseball was played. Any team that he played, he ran the fastest, ran around the field catching everything, hit for average. It was just Willie Mays. I mean, sure you could strike him out every once in a while, or he'd get an 0 for 20 or something like that. Not for long though. Willie Mays was an institution, probably the best player other than Ty Cobb to play the game. And I say that with respect to Mickey Mantle because Mantle was all around as good with a switch hitter, but couldn't stay healthy. Willie Mays played till he was 42 years old.
Yeah.
And one of the worst things I ever saw, and I hate to even bring this up, but it's part of the news, is that Willie Mays was playing center field when he was 42 years old, and he was going out for a fly ball, and he tripped and fell. And the right fielder came over and got the ball and threw it out. 5 years ago, Willie Mays would have tracked that ball down easy. But at 42 years old, he was a shell of himself. He wasn't even playing for the Giants then. I think he was playing for the Mets.
Yeah.
And it was a shame. So, but anyway, for 22 years, he was a consummate major leaguer. He was the best player in the league, probably in baseball. And but you don't forget people like Willie. I don't forget because I grew up watching baseball like this. I don't ever forget Willie Mason or even Louis Aparicio for that fact. Mickey Mantle, all those guys back then. I did not miss a beat. I had baseball magazines laying all over the place. My mother used to go get them at the store. And I would come and then read every page.
Back to the history of Willie Mays. And here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with Papa Joe inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, Heritage Hill Brewhouse on 3149 Sweet Road out in the country in Pompey. Great views out there. And, of course, in the hustle and bustle, just centrally located to so many different places in central New York. You can find them at their new location at Heritage Hill North, which is really convenient at Sweetheart Corners on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse. Speaking on Willie Mays, he started his career in the Negro American League on a team that won the pennant, the Birmingham Black Barons. It was back in 1948. Now, PJ and I talked last week about the Negro League statistics being added into Major League Baseball so that history is history encompassing everything and not excluding that. So his career actually started with the Birmingham Black Barons in the Negro American League back in 1948. Then in 1951, he started his Major League Baseball career with the New York Giants. But it wasn't the beginning. The beginning was Birmingham, and I want to make note of that. He was considered the Rookie of the Year in 1951 with the New York Giants. And then we saw him win MVP honors over and over and over and over again, either being number one in the voting or within the voting in the top 4, top 5, top 6 from year to year to year to year. We look at his All-Star. He was an All-Star in 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, and he was an All-Star in his last season in 73. We look at, like I said, either being MVP or being in the top 3, top 6, top 5, MVP in 65. Willie Mays had an amazing, pun fully intended, career in Major League Baseball. Career in baseball in general. We saw him play in over 3,000 games. His at-bats, 10,924. He had 2,068 runs, 3,293 hits in his career. He had 660 home runs. He had 1,909 RBIs. And we can go on and on and on about the numbers of it all. But the reality of the fact is Willie Mays brought us through a time in history that was unique. Willie Mays is one of those players that existed in the Negro Leagues and then found his way to Major League Baseball. He was a part of the door opening to African Americans in Major League Baseball. A lot of people think about Jackie Robinson, and there's other names that have come up, and PJ brought him up last week, which I appreciate, but Willie Mays is one of those names. Willie Mays is also a part of history of the New York Giants. Not the Giants you're thinking of, but the ones that played baseball. A team that he stayed with for the majority of his career in their relocation from New York to San Francisco, from the East Coast to the West Coast, from one body of water to another body of water, from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, and then ending his career with the Mets. And even though he only spent a little bit of time with the Mets, some Mets fans consider him their favorite Met of all time. Willie Mays isn't just a baseball player. Willie Mays is somebody that helped us bridge the gap of segregation. He is somebody that was a pioneer for people of his color. Somebody who is a pioneer of equality of any color, any background, anything in baseball for the rest of history. He lived at a time where something could be thrown at you, said to you. Willie Mays helped us find a way to a better major leagues. He wasn't just a good baseball player. He was a man of confidence. He was a man of strength. Because there's nobody that can bridge the gap of segregation without having strength, without having confidence, without having belief. And I would imagine having some type of faith. Stepping out onto the baseball diamond back in the day was not as safe as it is now. It wasn't as free as it is now. And it wasn't as equal as it is now. Willie Mays stands forever as a face of change in America. Positive change. Good change. The fact that if you can play the game, your nationality, your background, your color, your religion, how much money you have, all of that is inconsequential to the talent that you bring to the field. And Willie Mays is one of those talents that a lot of us think back on, and we know the name. But do you really think back and remember the time that he played? A time where he could have been scared, a time where he could have quit, a time where he could have taken a step back and said, this isn't for me, this is too difficult. This man had to be courageous in the eyes of a storm. He wasn't just stepping up to the plate. He was stepping up against a lot of things in our society that were wrong. So Willie Mays doesn't just rest easy today, I hope, because of everything that he did in the stat sheet. But I hope that he rests easy knowing that he helped to be a connector of what was wrong and what could be right. Willie Mays will go down in history as one of the players that we remember had the courage, the belief, the desire, the talent, and the want to make positive change. Willie Mays is a hero. And Willie Mays will never die because his legacy lives on in history, in baseball, in America, in the world. And he is a reminder to us that when you truly want something in your life, no matter who stands against you, what stands against you, or what seems impossible, hope makes the impossible possible. Belief can change anything. And knowing who you are beyond whatever anybody says you are is the only definition of yourself that matters. Willie Mays, thank you. God bless you and your loved ones up in heaven that have passed on and here on earth. May you always, always be a light to us all. And may we remember that Willie Mays, you were so much more than baseball, and you gave us something incredible. Thank you for the memories, and please watch over us, and may a ray of sunshine shine brightly from you, and may your loved ones and everyone whose life you've touched, may we know exactly that ray when we feel it today and throughout our lives. Willie Mays, we appreciate you. We miss you. I can't believe that you're not here, because some people, you just feel like they're going to live forever. But heroes never die, and their legacy can never be changed. PJ, Willie Mays, truly special guy, and I'm happy that we got to speak about him today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, baseball, this is before your time, too, but your dad may remember that baseball was so pure back in the 50s, the 40s and the 50s, even the 60s. You could actually buy a ticket and go to the Polo Grounds in New York where the Giants played, or Ebbets Field where the Dodgers played. Imagine having the Giants and the Dodgers in the same city every night. The places were sold out, no matter who was playing what. And Willie Mays was a big part of that, because when you come to watch the New York Giants at the Polo Grounds, he would patrol center field. They didn't play in the Polo Grounds a couple more years because then he took off to San Francisco. But I think him leaving to go to San Francisco made people that watched him remember him and not be able to see him anymore. That's a shame, because TV was just an infant, and you could get something. I remember my dad. He built a small color TV for us because he was an engineer for General Electric, and I got to watch ball games in color a long time ago. But when Mays and Mantle and those guys played in New York, that's with the Yankees in there. Those three teams in New York City, that was pure. That was pure.
Yeah, there was a time of the Yankees, the New York Yankees, the New York Giants, and the Brooklyn Dodgers. And, you know, people always ask me if I could go back to any time in history, where would I go? Thinking about it right now in the moment, I would go back to that time where I could see, because the Mets didn't even exist way back when. So if I could see the Dodgers and the Giants and the Yankees and see all that history. I mean, think about if it had stayed that way. We would have had the Dodgers, the Giants, the Yankees, and the Mets all in one area. And, I mean, it's incredible. And when I think about the Brooklyn Dodgers, I'm sad that they're not in Brooklyn. You know, there's a nun at Marywood who passed away recently. God bless her in heaven. Such a sweet woman. She was a big-time Dodger fan, but she was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. And talking to her, being around her, and then being around my my buddy Ross and his brother Carl and all that. It made me think about it, made me think about Brooklyn and learning about that and really wishing that the Brooklyn Dodgers were still the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants, So I'm happy for the expansion of baseball coast to coast, and at the same time, if I could go back in time, I would go back to those times. And not just read about it or see it on a page, but have that page come to life. And Willie, thanks for bringing baseball to so many people, and thanks for telling people that anybody can play. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, PJ and I will talk about horse racing, the U.S. Open, as well as what is going on in the world of the Jaguars. That poll that I told you we put up, you ended up voting for Seattle. So who do you think will win the AL West division in 2024? 90% of you picked Seattle, 10% of you picked the Rangers, and 0% of you picked the Astros. Very, very shocking in that respect, but we shall see. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. What'd you say, PJ?
I don't like that.
We'll take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. When we come back inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, PJ and I, like I said, have more to talk about with you. So stay with us right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You can collect all those cards at GG Cards and Breaks today. If you've never got a pack of cards or a box of cards before, it is a great time to start, folks. And once you start, you really honestly can't stop. It is so much fun to look for your favorite team, your favorite players, to grab an autograph or a patch card, memorabilia. I have a piece of Hank Aaron's bat inside of a card. I have a pinstripe part of, Mr. October on one of my cards. So you never know what you're going to find, never know what you're going to get at GG Cards and Breaks. And that's the beauty of it, because they're constantly challenging themselves to bring in new product and different things. Some of the product goes back a few years. So if you missed out on a pack or a box back in the day, you never know what you're going to find. It's not just 2024. There's different years that you'll find in there. There's baseball, basketball, football, hockey, all sport, AEW, UFC, Disney Lorcana, Pokemon, so many great things at GG Cards and Breaks. And I love being in there because the passion of Josh and Anthony goes throughout the entire store. The fact that they love collecting cards and they're always into it themselves means the world to me. Their passion, their dedication, and their desire for everything that they do really comes through the store. And I want to thank the staff and everybody at GG Cards and Breaks for being the difference and making a kid like me who loves collecting cards and has that young spirit just go in there and feel like home and feel like it's where I'm supposed to be. So GG Cards and Breaks, I love the fact that the first time I ever went in was on Father's Day. And in a year from that Father's Day, this past weekend, I brought my dad in and bought a box of cards and celebrated a year anniversary of going into GG Cards and Breaks. So big time thanks to Josh, Anthony, and the team. And you can head over there 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. We look forward to seeing you out there. So with that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, PJ and I having our conversation, and we shift gears to horse racing and Saratoga. PJ, what do you got to share with us about Saratoga?
Oh, the Saratoga whetted our appetite by conducting the 4-day Belmont Stakes meet there. And, that gets everyone all riled up, as people think that, they're going to be open for the rest of the summer. Well, no, that can't be. Because, unfortunately, the way the system runs now is that the New York tracks are split up into different meets. There's the winter meet for Aqueduct, the spring meet for Aqueduct. There's this spring meet for Belmont, and the fall meet for Belmont. Then there's a summer meet for Saratoga. Well, their summer meet doesn't start till July 11th. Even though we got our appetite whetted with the four-day Belmont Stakes schedule, it was great to see it. But there's still a lot of racing going on at Aqueduct now for Belmont, and then they'll transition to Saratoga on July 11th. Still plenty of horse racing to watch. Try to remember, Danny, if you can, and maybe in the middle of July, first make it August, and see if you can slip up there and watch a little horse racing. Not a very far drive. You can do it up and back in one day.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Saratoga Springs is getting up there and having the opportunity to see it. And you talk so highly of it, it's made me want to go. And I definitely, would like to go up there and make a day of it and, just appreciate that time up there at Saratoga. What is the lure of it for you? Why do you like it so much? Because, like I said, your passion for it and you speaking so highly of it, it makes me interested, right? Hearing you talk about it and just the overall experience, you've painted somewhat of a picture here, but to paint that picture a little bit more, what is it about Saratoga that you think everyone should experience it at least once?
It's the history of the place. I mean, Saratoga Springs is a very, very old town, and they've left it that way. As a matter of fact, some of the stalls are actually intertwined in the town, in the city, in the town, on the outskirts. I mean, it's just a place that you'll never forget. Now, from a racing standpoint, because I was in it for so long, thoroughbred, harness racing, greyhound racing, highlight, I did it all. But I really gravitated to horse racing, thoroughbred racing, because it was the most exciting to me. And when you deal with as much money as these people deal with, you'll understand how much it takes to race, to fix, to run one of these meets. I used to remember when I was at Monticello, from the wages that were bet, I only had 5% left to operate the entire racetrack. And that's not a lot of money. Believe me, it's not a lot of money. So you think about running at Aqueduct and Belmont and Saratoga, see the immense size of these places. Well, all three of them are huge. And when you see the new Belmont at the end of next year, it's going to be the best, the best. I'm saying this out loud. The best racetrack in the world, period. So they take a lot of money to run. People say, oh, they bet a lot of money there. Oh, Saratoga, they bet $5 million. They made $100 million. Doesn't make any difference. It costs a lot of money to keep up the grounds, the stable area, and the actual facility itself. So it's a play. If you're a horse racing fan, even if you're not, you can go to Saratoga Springs and look at all the arts and festivities, all the concerts they got going on. It's like a fair for 2 months, 10 weeks. I mean,
yeah,
but it's great.
Yeah, so head up to Saratoga, folks, and for those of you that are in Syracuse, New York area, I do want to let you know this. If you're looking to go to Saratoga, I'm going to paint you a little picture here right now. I'll give you a little map, I'll say. If you're looking to go to Saratoga Springs from the heart of Syracuse, New York, let's say. So let's say you're going from Syracuse to Saratoga. That's going to be 2 hours and 28 minutes, and it's going to bring you from Syracuse, which is in the center of the state, out to the Albany side of things. You're going to go in that direction. So, you'll be in the western part of the eastern part of the state of New York. That's I-90 East. So you'll be taking the thruway, and it's somewhat of a horizontal line. It's not a complete one, but it's somewhat of a horizontal line from Syracuse over to Saratoga, and you'll find your way there on the thruway. Like I said, it's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 28 minutes we're looking at right now. So it's not too far away, so make sure you head over there to Saratoga and enjoy some things this summer. PJ, I do want to get into the U.S. Open. Historically here, U.S. Open champion Bryson DeChambeau, he won here in 2024 at Pinehurst. I was at Pinehurst in North Carolina a few years ago for the ACC kickoff, which is the media days for football. Bryson DeChambeau won here in 2024. He also won in 2020 when it was at Winged Foot. And so he has 2 of the last 5 championships when it comes to the U.S. Open. In between him are John Rahm, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Wyndham Clark. And Brooks Koepka won in back-to-back years in 2017 and 18. Just to look at some of this history, Rory McIlroy, who was right there with the opportunity to win this thing with a short putt, he ends up losing. The last time that he won the U.S. Open was in 2011, 13 years ago at the Congressional. And Payne Stewart, who we remember from Pinehurst, and I remember as one of my favorite golfers ever, he won in 1999 at Pinehurst. and he obviously has a connection to Bryson DeChambeau, and they both went to SMU, which is Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas, which is one of the teams that I have covered very heavily in the world of football as well as men's basketball. So Bryson DeChambeau winning at Pinehurst in 2024, reminiscing and thinking about Payne Stewart, who won back in 1999 at Pinehurst. Would love to get your thoughts, PJ, on Payne Stewart, the history, the connection to Bryson DeChambeau, as well as Bryson winning his his second U.S. Open in 5 years. Just what your takeaways are.
Payne Stewart was a classy guy.
Yeah.
He dressed classy. He played a heck of a game. He won't be forgotten anytime either. He just was a plain, solid player. Didn't hit the ball that far. Didn't hit all the greens all the time. Chipped well, putted well. He just put it together. Payne Stewart was the kind of guy that would always play the hard courses good, and the easy courses not quite so good. That was his leg. Now, to get to the tournament itself, when you play and look at the National Open, the U.S. Open golf courses, the U.S. Open sets up their golf courses entirely different than the normal golf course setup. They narrow the fairways. They let the rough grow on both sides of the fairways. The chipping area around the green has got a little bit more hair in it. And the greens. The greens are like tabletops. They're not fair, but everyone has to play them. Now, in order to understand the pressure that Rory McIlroy was under, he had a chance to tie Bryson Sheehan, or actually go ahead with DeChambeau when he had a 3-foot putt on the 16th green that he pushed. And that got in his head, believe me. He played 17 okay. 18, he got in a little bit of trouble, but got it up to where he had a 3.5-foot putt on the 18th green to win the U.S. Open. Well, if you look at the green from green side, where the golfers are and the fans are looking at, it's a very hilly putt. TV always shows everything nice. Always had a straight putt. Well, the putt wasn't straight. It was on a side hill. It was played outside the cup. If you miss it, you're going to roll all the way down because it was on an incline. It was a tough putt. He should have made it, of course, because he's a world-class player. But he didn't. And the championships are won and made on the green. There's a saying in golf, is you drive for show and you putt for dough. He's trying to figure out what driver he wanted to use for the last round of the U.S. Open. He's on the practice area. He takes the head of his driver off, and he got 4 other driver heads in front of him. He puts each one on there and feels it and thinks, well, you know what? I think I'm going to go with this one today. He didn't have to do that because the one that he picked wasn't the one he hit well because he was all over the course on the 18th hole. And most of the 1 through 18. So that's how different. He's a little quirky. He's a real different guy, but he's got a hell of a game. And to emphasize that, here he's putting a different club head on his driver, and it didn't work out for him. Yet he still got up and down around the course to win the U.S. Open. Kudos to him.
Yeah, and the thing, just DeChambeau, incredible. His father passed away recently, and, having the opportunity to honor his dad and the opportunity to reflect on that, as well as reflect on Payne Stewart, and to just keep those memories alive, that means a lot. What I learned about DeChambeau is he seems to be very selfless. He seems to make, he made the moment about other people. He made it about Payne Stewart. He made it about his dad. He made it about the fans that have been supporting him and following through. And that, to me, says a lot about the character of the man. So I had picked Rory to win And at the same time, I'm very happy for Bryson DeChambeau. I wasn't going to be mad either way of who won this one. And I just, I think that, Bryson, he did things that were incredibly tough. His shot out of the sand was insane. And seeing somebody play the way that he played at a moment like that where you can easily get caught up, he didn't. And I cannot say enough about watching that, seeing that moment, celebrating it with my dad, who we watched I think the last one together on Father's Day. So, and like I said, at any time where you have the opportunity to remember Payne Stewart, that means the world to me, because Payne is one of the reasons why I watched the game of golf. It was Tiger Woods, Davis Love III, and Payne Stewart. And I'll never forget him. So I definitely can appreciate the moment. I just put out a poll. I want to know what y'all think. There's a bunch of polls put up this morning, including this one that just got put up seconds ago. You can go to @CallDT, that's CALLDT, on the former Twitter, which is now called X. That is @CallDT. Click follow and vote in this poll. And I want to know Papa Joe's choice for this as well. If you had the choice, which of these 4 golfers would you choose right now to have the best opportunity to win a championship? Would you play with Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy, Bryson DeChambeau, or Scotty Scheffler? What's your choice, PJ?
Boy, that's a question, Daniel. Oh, my. Wow. Well, to answer it professionally, I think that Scotty Scheffler would be the one. Scheffler's the last 2 years have been extraordinary. It's the best golf we've seen played since Tiger Woods was at his best. And that was a long, long time ago. We'll find out. They're playing a tournament this week, starting today. We'll find out how good Scheffler bounced back from the U.S. Open. But the rest of those guys, like Xander Schauffele, DeChambeau, who's the other one you had? Oh, Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
They're all champions. I mean, they're all good. They're all very good. But I would have to lean towards Scotty Scheffler right now.
Yeah, PJ says Scotty Scheffler. Jerry said Scotty Scheffler. I feel like Scheffler, I don't know, because I like DeChambeau's story, and I like his connection to Payne Stewart, and that's important to me. But I also feel like I'd want to play with Rory because I want to see Rory rise again. I want to see him win. I'm sick and tired of people talking about, oh, he choked this, he didn't win this happened. I want to see Rory win. So I feel like my heart would say Rory, and I think I would probably pick Scheffler a week ago, but then watching DeChambeau's story right now, it'd probably be, for me, it would be between McIlroy and DeChambeau. But I really would love to see Rory win, and I'd love to be a part of that with him. So early voting is Scotty Scheffler, PJ is Scotty Scheffler, and Jerry is Scotty Scheffler. So I'm not surprised. PJ, final note here in our conversation inside of the Heritage Hill Studios for this morning. Any word that you'd like to share on the Jacksonville Jaguars and any of the latest news as the team gets set here for camp, training camp coming up here soon? By the way, the Jaguars signed Denzel Mims. So we talk about the receiving core and what they're doing. Has found his way to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's something else to look at here, as Denzel Mims is going to get some time in training camp to prove himself, it looks like. Any other news you want to share with us?
Well, there is a lot of talk down here, a lot of talk. The pundits are really going at it. And if the Jaguars made the right decision in signing Lawrence to a huge contract like that. And of course, with that comes expectations. And some of the pundits down here, not me included, though, don't think that he can stand the test of time. he's not that good. He's not good enough. I think he is, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are questioning, and even the fans are questioning the amount of money that they paid for this kid. We knew it was coming because it had to come. I mean, if you're going to draft a guy number one and build an offense around him, you got to pay the guy, and so to pay the guy. And if it goes south, it goes south. But I think he'll do fine. A lot of pundits don't think so.
Yeah, here's the thing. I've had people ask me this question, and this is frustrating, but after his rookie season, I had the question of, do you think Trevor Lawrence is the guy? And I was like, yeah, he's a rookie, and most rookies have difficulty going into the NFL. I always go back to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning threw a ton of interceptions. The Indianapolis Colts barely won, and then he becomes a Super Bowl champion, a multi-time MVP, and won multiple Super Bowls. So, to me, it takes time. And I'm not guaranteeing that Trevor Lawrence is going to win a Super Bowl, but after his first season, I was floored that people were ready to throw him in the trash. I shouldn't say I was floored, because people are all about what have you done for me lately, and they forget really quickly, and those are not people that I tend to hang around ever. But I would say that when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, after this past season, then I got the question again, is it time to move on from Trevor Lawrence? And I was like, he's played for 3 years. That's it. That's all he's done. And he's put himself in the upper echelon. I read the stats last week to you of the fact that Trevor Lawrence is in the top 5 quarterbacks all time in Jaguars history, and he's only played for 3 seasons in the NFL. So I did put the poll up just now to get your thoughts around the world. In your opinion, did the Jacksonville Jaguars make the right decision in extending quarterback Trevor Lawrence to be the leader of the future? You can vote yes or no on X, the former Twitter, by following me at CallDT, that's CALLDT, and vote in the poll here that is up for you, and you'll have the opportunity over the next few days to vote in this poll. I think that Trevor Lawrence is the best opportunity that they've had in a while, and I'm at a loss of people that want to give up on him. I, again, want to make note that the Jaguars have long suffered with the fact that their offensive line does not stay healthy. Last year, they had 3 left tackles. Walker Little had to be a tackle. He had to be a guard. They went down to their 3rd option at left tackle. That's not going to help a quarterback get the ball down the field, especially when your blind side is going through multiple injuries and or suspensions. Trevor Lawrence played injured with a high ankle sprain. Trevor Lawrence played injured with a shoulder injury. I don't know if Press Taylor is the answer at offensive coordinator. There's a lot of things that are outside of the talent of Trevor Lawrence: injury, offensive line injuries, and offensive coordinators' decision-making that have nothing to do with Trevor Lawrence's ability to play the game. So if we're going to talk about, God willing, this season, the offensive line stays healthy throughout the entire season, Trevor Lawrence stays healthy throughout the entire season, and the offense makes better decisions, be it coming from Press Taylor, Doug Peterson, or another person brought in to help call offensive plays, if that all goes to plan and that all goes well, if we're not talking about injuries and we're not talking about poor offensive calling and Trevor Lawrence doesn't do well, okay, now we're having a conversation. But you can't teach 6'6". The man won in high school almost every game. The man won in college almost every game. The man played at the highest level in college. He represented Clemson and the entire ACC in the college football playoff. So, do I think Trevor Lawrence is talented? Yes. Do I think he's a leader? Yes. Do I think he has the makeup of being a good leader? Yes. Do I think he is capable of playing in the NFL? Yes. Would I like to see him on another team? No. And why is that? Because I think he can win. I would not be concerned about Trevor Lawrence being in a different jersey if I thought Trevor Lawrence couldn't help a team win a Super Bowl. I think he can. But see, Jacksonville is not just Trevor Lawrence. And so many times in the NFL and in football in general, when things go well, they say it's the quarterback and the coach. When things go poorly, they say it's the quarterback and the coach. And sometimes it's the defense. Sometimes it's injuries. Sometimes it's play calling. Sometimes it is the quarterback. Sometimes it is the head coach. Urban Meyer was not the answer. Urban Meyer should be sitting on a couch right now talking through his problems. Shouldn't be a head coach. Urban Meyer, in my opinion, and I'm not knocking going and talking to a therapist because I think it's important. What I'm saying is when you are allegedly with some 20-year-old grinding in a club and you have a wife, you got problems, bro. You need to fix that. When you're not taking the plane home with your team, that's not a leader. When you have a lawsuit against you from Josh Lambo, your former kicker, that's not a leader. And Trevor Lawrence had to deal with that when he came into the NFL. So we're talking about Trevor Lawrence coming in with Urban Meyer. We're talking about Trevor Lawrence coming onto a team that was the worst team in the NFL, 32 of 32. We're talking about a team that's gone through injury. We're talking about a team that's gone through drama in the locker room. We're talking about a team that had to change the culture of the locker room. We're talking about a team that can't keep their offensive line healthy. None of that stuff is Trevor Lawrence's fault. So in 3 seasons, having to deal with all of that, you got to cut this guy some slack. I'm not saying he's guaranteed to win a Super Bowl, but I think he's talented enough to do so. But there's a lot of things that happen in Jacksonville that I was privy to that a lot of talking heads weren't. Or if they were, maybe they're not really breaking this all down because they're doing the old story of it's the quarterback's fault always, no matter what. When you're talking about culture, you're talking about drama, you're talking about coaching change, you're talking about injuries, you're talking about playing through the injuries, having your offensive line be injured. When all of that stuff is going on and the play calling isn't necessarily as good as it should be, if none of that has to do with your quarterback and he's only going into his 4th year, why don't we all just temper our expectations, keep our mouths shut, and let this guy play a full season of football with a healthy offensive line and somebody who knows how to call plays, and then let's see what happens.
Sounds good, bud.
Am I wrong?
No, of course not. All right.
that coming from Papa Joe here on Wake Up Call. PJ, as always, I appreciate you. I look forward to talking with you soon. And do me a favor down in northern Florida. Why don't you go around those watering holes and let these people know to give Trevor Lawrence a little bit more time and give him an opportunity to have some consistency here before they go out and say he's not capable.
Okay.
I'll talk with you soon.
Guys.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I'll talk with you soon.
All right.
See you. That coming from Papa Joe one more time here where sports truly meets that thing. Give the guy some time, man. Give him some time. Sweet mother, this team didn't make the playoffs for a decade. Give the man some time to breathe. Japers Christmas. There's a lot of things going on in Jacksonville that you don't know about unless you're there. And even when you're there, you don't necessarily know everything that's going on because you're not privy to every conversation. There's no media member that's in every single team meeting and coaches meeting and all that stuff, right? There's no fans that are in those meetings. So relax. Give the man some time and let him build. For goodness gracious sakes. Trevor Lawrence is not a bad quarterback. He's a very talented quarterback that went on to a really bad team that is going to take more than a couple years to get it all together. And y'all just need to give time for that. I know people are impatient, but if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, I would think at this point you've learned patience. Give it time. I'm not guaranteeing Trevor Lawrence is going to win you a Super Bowl. But he's been the best bet that they've had in a really long time. So give him an opportunity to show himself. And stop judging the poor guy. For goodness sakes. Again, let him breathe a little bit. With that being said, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora here on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find the show on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Make sure to click subscribe and click follow while you're there, and don't miss out on anything there. So thanks to Jerry here, who said, you got to love Papa Joe. You guys are great together. Thank you, Jerry. I had so many great conversations at the kitchen table with Papa Joe, and I thought I shouldn't be selfish and keep those to myself, and that's why I asked him to be on the show. Visit our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York, Heritage Hill Brew House in Pompey, Heritage Hill North at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicoli's Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, with so many great things that are made right there in-house. Their freeze-dried candy, as well as their cotton candy, their lemonades, their chocolate-dipped pretzels, their chocolate-dipped Oreos, as well as over 70 different flavors when it comes to popcorn and kettle corn. Their old-fashioned caramel corn, I know my G-Mama would love it. So make sure you head out to Ma and Pa's today and make a memory and get something for yourself and get something for those that you love. If your grandparents are alive, go and get them something from Ma and Pa's. And your parents. And your kids. It's a great place to go. 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Pizza Man, Great Lakes, Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, and of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your. LeMoyne College Dolphins, it's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You'll find your Dolphins every single Wednesday during Dolphin time, and we underpromise and overdeliver as the Dolphins came to you again this morning as well. You'll find all of our content, our AD and DT and Dolphin Dives by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course you'll find our LeMoyne Dolphins playlist there. You can also find the Dolphins by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com, and as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Bobcats every single month in what we call the Bobcat Buzz. The Bobcat Buzz coming to you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and appreciate you so very much for connecting with Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. They have two locations, James Street in Syracuse, as well as on Route 57, right there across the street from Avicoli's in Liverpool, New York. You'll find the Bobcats on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the BSC Syracuse playlist with our shows over the last 3 years. You can also find the Bobcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You'll find your Bearcats every single Tuesday during Bearcat time at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The Bearcats join us monthly with Moments with Marshall, featuring Binghamton University Athletics Director Gene Marshall, and a look behind the scenes. Most recently, we celebrated a perfect APR academic progress rate for multiple programs at Binghamton University, as well as celebrating back-to-back Commissioners' Cups inside of the America East and being named one of the top 10 public Ivy Leagues in the entire nation. The Bearcat Break Room with student athletes, coaches, and administration features wonderful people in the Bearcat community all throughout the year. And you can find all of this content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton University playlist with plenty of shows through these first few months of working together with Binghamton University. You'll also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we appreciate you tuning in to this episode and every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, as well as coming out and seeing us in the community for our live broadcasts that we have at Heritage Hill North, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Pizza Man Pub, and Avicoli's. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's poppin'. Thanks to Nick DiPillo for the exclusive special and the announcement of Katie Kalinske being on his staff, coming and being retained from Mary Grimes' staff to be in her second year at LeMoyne, and right there with Nick DiPillo. Thanks to Papa Joe, as always, every Thursday for our conversation, which today included Major League Baseball, remembering Willie Mays, horse racing, the U.S. Open for golf, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. For all of our content, you can go to Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, and Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, as well as going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. My goal was to have 100 subscribers on YouTube. We now have over 1,000. Thank you so much for your dedication to the show. And you can vote in the polls right now. The early polling for Trevor Lawrence, do you think the Jaguars made the right decision in extending him to be the quarterback of the future? 66.7% of you say yes. 33.3% of you say no. The polling of if you had the choice, which of these four golfers would you choose right now in this moment to have the best opportunity to win a championship? Xander Schauffele, you said 28.6% of you picked Xander, 14.3% of you picked Rory McIlroy. Nobody picked Bryson DeChambeau. Very surprised in that. And 57.1% of you picked Scotty Scheffler. Also, in our polls up this morning, I asked Mets fans, do you believe the Mets will make the 2024 postseason? And 100% of you said yes in very early polling. And who do you believe will end up winning the American League East, the Yankees or the Orioles? Papa Joe picked the Orioles. Jerry picked the Yankees. And the polling on X is 66.7% in agreement with Papa Joe picking the Orioles and 33.3% picking the New York Yankees. You can vote in all of those polls and more by going to X at CallDT. Click follow and vote today. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless, no stress, do your best. From the Heritage Hill Studios, you are amazing. Stay cool, everybody, and make sure that you be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and remember that faith and time can help you get through anything.